All right, welcome back to another WrightStew Podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
And I am Brian Wright, and I'm already in the car. We're to my kind of second favorite day, Friday Eve, weekend eve.
Thursday.
And so, you got to make the most of whatever you can in life. Once you get to the point to where you're naming Thursday, weekend eve, hey, it's all downhill from there, baby. All downhill.
Brian, this Thursday Eve, I get the pleasure of having a root canal. I've never had one in my life. I know at least one of my kids has, probably another. I think my wife has. I've never had one. Pretty good dental history. I've only had one cavity in my life, but I've had like a little bump. This is probably a little gross, right? But I've had a little bump just kind of towards the top of my gums, and it just kind of kept growing a little bit and creating some pressure. So I called the dentist and said, "Hey, I need to come in and take a look at this." And took a couple X-rays, and there was some little gray spot in there. Oh, yeah, root canal, you got an infection, this and that. And I said, "Well, hey doc, while you're in it, can you pop that thing?" What he's like, "Yeah, it's basically like a zit." And I said, "Well, so it's like pus in there?" "Yeah, that's what it is." So he was pretty excited to pop it, and he's like, "Do you want to get a mirror to look at it?" I'm like, "Nah, I'll be all right." So a little ointment, little topical ointment on there to numb it a little bit, and popped it, and I guess it took him a minute, but finally some stuff came out, and they said, "Well, see you tomorrow for the root canal." So that's going to be a good chunk of my day today. So
yeah, Thursday is not a great day to do that. I like early in the week or later in the week because you still feel like you need to get after it Friday. Probably going to feel a little goofy. Are they like pulling out a tooth, replacing tooth? What are they doing?
No, they said the tooth's good. They're just going to drill it out and get the dead nerve out, and said I won't be missing the tooth or anything. It'll be all good. So
it'd be awesome if you were missing a tooth though for a little while.
It'll be good. It's the one right next to my front tooth, like the flat one there, whatever that one's called. Yeah, I could do maybe get a gold one in there.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I feel like grills, they've come a long ways. I'm still not a huge fan of them, but I think you could pull it off. You are a rap guy, right?
Yeah.
You definitely, I don't know. I feel like you could pull off a grill.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. So, yeah. So, and Brian, another thing I probably can't pull off are TikTok dances. All right. We're on TikTok, but it's mostly just us talking or saying, kind of giving our takes, that sort of thing, or portions of our show we cut up and put on there. But recently, Rich Rodriguez, he's back at West Virginia, coaching their football program. He banned his players, not from TikTok, but from dancing on TikTok. They can watch it, but he says, we try to have a hard edge or whatever, and you're in there in your tights dancing on TikTok. Ain't quite the image of our program that I want.
Fair. I mean, I don't know if it has any impact, if you're being honest. I think it's one of those things where when you come in as a football coach, and especially a college football coach, a lot of winning and losing. Now, there's going to be games you're clearly not as talented as, but a lot of program building is built around culture and culture of discipline, culture of responsibility, culture of doing the right thing, culture of toughness. So I don't know what I would do. That's a pretty hard line with certain age kids, I think. I don't know. I mean, I have one that did it for a little bit and would mess around. I know she's probably on it. They kind of update friends certain ways that way with that or Snapchat. But I don't know if that really has that great an impact, if we're being honest, either.
Do you think Rich Rod is going to be just like combing TikTok and following his players? And
no, I don't think so. I think what happens is if somebody, you'll have a GA or a grad assistant, somebody that probably followed them early on that will see it. And at that point, whatever the consequences are, maybe some gassers, maybe, I was late one time for practice my freshman year, workouts, not practice, workouts, 5:30. My roommate was the loser, and so didn't have a roommate. and that's good to blame the other guy, but it was my fault. I was late.
Yeah.
So you get down there, you do the workout. I got there as it was starting. I didn't miss any of the workout, 5:30 workout. But at the end, I had to roll, and I think it was every 5 or 10 yards, do like up downs because we had the football trainer. And so I did it for like 120 yards. Then I started throwing up. And you would roll literally on your side, then do up downs, and then push ups, and then you'd roll 5 or 10 more yards, do up downs, do push ups, and so that was the only time I was ever late. That definitely created some anxiety to know when to get up. So I do think there's probably some punishment that would eliminate that. I'm not a big, until we started doing this, Paulie, I wasn't even hardly on social media. I would look at it. Obviously now we're trying to promote this, try to promote different things because we think, we have some good chemistry and we, are entertaining for some people, I think, maybe. And so we do it because of that. But otherwise, I wouldn't be on it, I don't think.
Are you trying to get off the grid, Brian? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I could see myself, like, talking off the grid. Like, I used to really enjoy those Alaska shows where they are off the grid. I could see myself doing that. I mean, I definitely have some, I don't know if this is a real word, like hermetism, like hermits in my family tree.
Yeah.
And so I really think I could go. Would I get long? I don't know, man. I talk to myself. I entertain myself a lot of times. I enjoy certain people's conversation, but I probably could be a hermit if like there was some money. Like, I don't know. Have you seen that series Alone? You ever seen that one? They go out and they have to spend, a lot of times it ends up being 100 days. There's 10 people. You can take 10 items. And whoever stays out there the longest can win $500,000. Now, I would starve to death. They do weigh you because I wouldn't be able to figure out how to feed myself probably adequately, considering there's no McDonald's.
You got to kill your own food?
Yeah, you got to kill your own food. You got to trap your own food. You got to build your own housing. And so it's a contest, and you don't know really when it's going to end. You just want to be the last one standing. And so I think I could do that. I really do. I mean, where I would struggle was from the skill standpoint, not from the social standpoint. There's a lot of guys start breaking down really early on, talking about they miss their family, and not that I wouldn't miss my family, but I just think I could handle some isolation.
Yeah. I think I'd probably never sign up for anything like that. Doesn't sound like something very appealing. I don't watch those shows. I mean, I appreciate the people that do them. That's fine. You have some intestinal fortitude to you and all that sort of thing. But yeah, man, I'm good.
You find yourself really pulling for certain guys, and then you're like, they're showing them a lot early. They're going to be off early because they're not on late. Like, they don't show the ones.
How the editors and producers work. Like, this guy, he's done. Yeah.
Like, if you're spending like 40 minutes on you the first episode, you're gone within the first 2 episodes. But there's been guys who've spent 70, 80, 90 days out in the wilderness and seen it go from, fall to winter, and guys losing a bunch of weight. It's a really, not that we're promoting.
Have you ever known anybody who has been on one of those shows? So I've known 2 people who were on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
I feel like I would judge those people a lot more hard than, as far as just being on those shows, than I would somebody that was on the show alone. So tell me about those people in your life.
So the one guy was actually a baseball player. I played with him in the Red Sox organization. A guy named Justin Sherrod. He was on. It was one of the early, like, season 3 maybe or 4 of. So he was where there was a lady and then there was a bunch of dudes. So I guess that's The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
So he was on, and I think the Bachelorette's name was Meredith, if I remember. Okay. It was really early. So it was my wife's name. So I think that's why I remember it. But he said it was really strange, man. It was like 30 guys, and he walked out the limo and did the whole thing. And he was like, he's like, you're in this room because you're the first, and my wife, we watched the first couple seasons of it because it was just kind of it was a phenomenon, right? And now people watch it and have watch parties. I haven't watched it since probably season 2 or 3, whatever it was. But he was like, there's like 30 dudes in this room. And he's like, you could tell some of them are really into it. And they're trying to do stuff like more like Hollywood. They're trying to FaceTime, trying to get camera time. And he was like, yeah, like I met the lady. He's like, but he's like, I wasn't really attracted to her that much. Is like I wasn't like gonna be blocking people out and fighting people for the 30 seconds of FaceTime with her and that sort of thing. He's like, I didn't care enough, and it wasn't something that I was really trying to do. I don't remember how he got on the show. It was
Well,
like
I'm
his
sure he signed
agent.
up. They don't randomly. He knew what he was signing up for.
No, he knew what he was signing up for, but I don't think he fully knew. It may have been something like his agent talked him into or something like that. I'm not sure. But it was yeah, I mean, so it was just a weird situation. I mean, could you imagine like being in a room with 30 dudes? Like
I went to NC State. There were times where it felt like that.
it
The
was a pretty high
ratios weren't
during your
great.
time, it was a pretty high guy to girl ratio. Yeah,
Yeah, it
especially
was
with
obviously engineering,
engineering.
agriculture school. I think those
Yeah.
ratios have gotten better now. So there have been times I was not a compete with my buddies kind of guy for a girl. I wasn't that. I mean, if they showed interest or vice versa, whatever. But I was never a compete. I was always big in that if one of my buddies had dated a girl, I would not date her. And obviously a lot of times dating means more than like dating. And so I was not, it almost immediately, like even now, like guys' girlfriends or wives or whatever the case may be, in my mind, I just put them in a different category, almost like a ugly sister or something. I don't have any sisters. It's just immediately the attractiveness. It really does. It just goes off. If I'm remotely friends with them, and that was kind of the same way as I work with my teammates. I was not a compete with buddies for females kind of situation.
Yeah, yeah. And then so on the other side, it was a lady I worked with. She was on The Bachelor, so it was her. And I think she made it to like the round of 10 or something. I don't. And this was like 20 years later, and she was on one of the. And I told my daughters, they were all pumped up about it. I didn't watch it. Like she was away from work for a few weeks. I know that, and she got back, and yeah, they signed like an NDA, so she couldn't really talk about it until the show was over. So
Well,
she,
that makes
she
sense. I
wasn't walking
mean,
around with a ring on, so we knew she didn't get a proposal. Knew that.
well, I remember when Scotty McCreery was on the.
Oh man. Oh, so I know Scotty as well. I guess that's another.
Well, he wasn't on that, but he was
He's
on.
on American Idol. Yeah, he won American Idol. Yeah.
And so we knew some stuff, and I mean, not necessarily like we obviously got family that's really close to his dad, and so I don't think they truly disclosed, but they kind of hinted that he had continued and it was good, and they didn't never like break or breach any kind of contract, I don't think, but it was definitely you knew that he was moving on and had a good chance, and so Scotty McQuarrie sung at my wedding when he was like 8 years old, and so he it was he was a good singer then. His whole family is though a good singer though. I mean, they're all good singers.
Yeah, yeah, that was exciting, especially being in Garner, man. That was wow, just what exciting times. We did a thing, so they have the at home or they come home and all that sort of thing. They did it just like down the street at Lake Benson Park here, and so we went to that and cheered them on, and that was exciting. And then uh, for the final show, it was him and I forget the girl's name, but it was him and another like country girl singer, and they. I don't know who rented it out, but we went to what is now the Lenovo Center, where NC State plays basketball and the Hurricanes play hockey. And basically, the whole town of Garner went to the Lenovo Center and watched on the jumbotron like the final episode. And
You're a good Garner.
dude, that was
you're a good community person. I want to know part of that. I think Shan, my wife, tried to get us to go, and I said, "Dude, what are we doing?"
we could have sat next to
he
each other.
doesn't know. He doesn't know I'm there. I mean, I'm gonna have to be with people I don't know. So
you're on TV. Yeah.
I do.
So the coolest thing though, so we get everybody's there cheering, going crazy, and there were American Idol people. They were filming, and I think we got on the show, like the collective stadium, got on the show a couple of times. Like, yeah, we're here in Raleigh, and here's the Scotty, the Blue Crew, and all this, and so everybody's cheering. They got 3, 2, 1, you're on, and then the ride home was like I'll never forget this. and people were out on the streets, just like waving, cheering, holding up signs, like the town had just won a state championship in every sport, and people were just like blowing horns and celebrating. It was, dude, it was crazy. It was so cool. Just like,
Again, I can't relate to that because it's kind
man,
of like rushing the field. That's what it feels like. Like
that was
I
not rushing the
cannot.
field. That was something entire. This young man had just won the biggest singing competition in the world, and
I'm
man,
saying the people on the side of the road holding up
no,
signs.
I was blowing horns at him, dude. I was fired. I was
I
waving.
mean, if I went by him, I'd have blown the horn, but I wouldn't have
Yeah,
stood
no, I
there with
wouldn't
a
be holding up a
sign.
sign on the side of the road, probably, but it was
I mean,
it was
I
just
don't know.
something else.
Again, I am different. I'll say this: I do have a tendency to like think less of people that are willing to go on those, not those kind of shows, but like give so much, like have so much passion for other people. When it has no impact, they don't know who you are. It's like super fans of anything. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just weird to me. It's like, how do you have so much passion for somebody who doesn't know who you are? I think it's just people like to try to be a part of something and they're not really a part of anything. And so they feel like they cheer real loud. They're a part of something, maybe. I don't know. It's just a really interesting dichotomy that I can't get my mind around. And I'm clearly,
How'd you feel? So how'd you feel at NC State about like boosters and that kind of thing when you
no, I felt differently about an institution. And I just think there's
okay
levels of, hey, contributing.
fanaticism?
Yeah, exactly. I do. I think, but there are some that are completely out of control. And I don't know, like crying at another sporting event that you don't have anything to do with outside of maybe the Miracle, where it's kind of country versus another country. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's an interesting. And again, I know I'm the oddball because otherwise sports wouldn't have this many passionate
no, nobody
fans.
would care. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, I mean, I'm in a very similar boat, dude. I don't. I'll watch games. I'll enjoy them. I rarely get emotionally invested. Like when my daughters when they won the state championship last year.
well, that's
Like,
different. That's your
yeah, I know.
daughter. You're
I shed some tears,
directly.
right? Like that
Yeah,
was but
that's your
if I was
blood.
just
Yeah,
at the random state championship game when it was some
if they
other
won it
town,
this year,
I think I would be there because we know enough people on the team and have invested enough time and still have relationships with those families and those girls. And again, if it's my hometown, I'm probably
you
if
are
we
one of those guys.
if
Yeah.
we do- if we do anything in the state, like get to the state championship in the football, basketball, baseball, softball, and probably volleyball because my kids play volleyball. I'm probably there. Any other sport, I'll be happy for them, but probably. But against your point, I don't get emotional. I like watching games, love watching
Oh, I do too.
the
Now
game,
I
but
am a
don't get
sport
emotionally
watcher.
invested. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I don't really understand how people care so much about. I like it. I like it for the competition aspect of it, for the for the sport of it, right?
Yeah,
For
not for the pomp and circumstance, but again, I think what sport has done a really good job of, especially football, is kind of including and having something a little bit for everybody. And they emotionally, almost like a soap opera, they emotionally get you to invest in stories and storylines, and not necessarily on purpose. They don't. I don't think they're made up storylines, but like even with the people signing right now, what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? They do these whole segments on
uh,
ESPN about where these guys are going to sign, and I'm like, dude, I just don't care that much. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just the point of my life. Maybe I would care if one of them was the Panthers. And I kind of think it's kind of wait and see with all these.
nobody's fighting to sign with the Panthers right now, buddy.
No,
Nobody's doing
no,
that.
there's no question. We are bottom of the totem pole when it comes to draft. I mean, not draft picks, but free agents. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, the bottom of the totem pole draft picks though, because they made a couple pretty bad moves and lost a bunch of picks.
Yeah.
So
No, you're not lying about that. You're not lying about that.
yeah, yeah. So Brian, today, special day, we're celebrating our 100th episode. 100.
Unbelievable.
I
Hey,
mean,
we have really committed though. You think about what I'm in a car right now. We have truly committed to doing something every day And, hey, I had a friend of mine reach out to me and say, hey, dude, I heard an advertisement on your podcast. What is going on? And so clearly making those little small steps to superstardom.
Yeah, we've hit the big time. We've got some advertisement. And people are listening. So first of all, Brian, when we started this whole thing, I think we've shared a little bit of why we did. That was like the inaugural episode, though. So let's go back a few months. So Brian and I, we've been friends for 10, 12 years ish,
I'd say it. Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And
But really closer friends, probably the last 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years. Yeah. So I actually went to high school with Brian's wife. I've known her since I was in 9th, 10th grade. And then met Brian through we were our coaching our kids in like kid pitch, 7-8U baseball or thereabouts. I think we probably bumped into each other a couple times before, but started coaching a travel team together and got close. And then we talked a lot on the phone, just talking about the boys and talking about the team, what to do, and then just continued, and we just have conversations, just kind of like we do on this podcast. And so Brian said, like, Paul, like our conversations are pretty good about sports and a little bit of life stuff. And I like personally, I don't listen to a ton of sports podcasts. I listen to a lot of pop culture and a little more kind of edutainment kind of stuff and kind of history and just enjoy that. And I said, really? Like our conversations are that good, or they're?
Well, I think they are, Paulie.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. And so Brian says, well, let's start recording our conversations and have some topics and start discussing some things. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm kind of the tech guy, so I had to kind of figure out some things. And so if you go back and listen to early episodes, the sound quality may not be as great. Some of the video may not be. It's probably not great all the time. It's literally Brian and I. We don't have a producer. We don't have an editor. We don't have a team behind us, but it's us. And but we've really, really enjoyed doing this, and speaking on my behalf, and I think on Brian's as well. And bringing this in, and we've gotten legitimately some really great and fun feedback, and hearing from people kind of all over the country, really, and we get to see kind of who's listening, and there's people again all over the country listening, and it's really cool, and we enjoy doing this for you all, and we.
Well, I think if we're being frank on that, dude, I think a lot of times, man, it's almost like, and even you'll say it, dude, it's almost a therapy for us too, man, because we got busy lives, and hopefully that's what we do for other people that listen, is you can kind of take your mind off whatever is that next immediate thing. I'm very much all right, I've got to get this done, got to get this done, got to get this done. And so just trying to, a lot of times we would call each other during the day, and it'd be just kind of a little break, a mini break for whatever else is on that list that we got to check off. And so hopefully that's what it is for people that listen. It's kind of a mini break. You can kind of take 30, 40 minutes and listen, and kind of takes your mind somewhere else. And that's essentially what our conversations are a lot of times. And sometimes it's about real stuff, but usually it goes down. What I always thought was good about our conversations is they usually go down a different rabbit hole than they start. Right. And I think that's interesting too. And sports is really, it's a mirror for life. It's a mirror. I think there's so many good things that sports do as far as teaching those, failure to rising back up. You talked about Rocky on our Mondays, the athlete you should know, or, the athlete that inspired Rocky.
Chuck Wepner.
I should know that by now. And so, I really think that's kind of what sports do. And so that's really the main thing, because the people that are eventually going to make money in sports, that amount of people is so small. I know there's a lot of people who make money around sports, but, from coaching to talking about it, it's really just, hey, hopefully we do inspire or make you laugh or make somebody kind of think about something in a different way. And if we do any of those things, I think, hey, it's worth doing this.
Well said, Brian. Well said. So we appreciate all our listeners out there. Thank you for that. We appreciate the support. If you have questions for Brian and I, WrightStew Podcast at gmail.com. We're happy to answer those. And man, again, just thank you. We're happy to bring you this first 100. we hope there's 100 more and 100 more after that, and continues to go down the road. And we'll do all we can to keep bringing this on a pretty daily basis. So, hey,
Hey, consistency, baby. Hey, if baseball knows nothing else, has taught me nothing else. If you can just keep grinding, even when you don't really feel like it, and you don't feel like you're making any progress, you just got to keep grinding through.
Right. So one of the things that one of my favorite mantras that I use in life is the monotonous leads to the miraculous. So the monotonous are hey, it's the little things you do every day. So if you're in a sales role, it's making your calls, it's reaching out to your prospects, it's reaching out to your channel, whatever it is, right? And it's if you do the same things, if you do them consistently, you make them all happen. And then take that to a sport, right? Baseball. If you're getting your swings in, you're getting your reps in, you're working on your fielding, you're working on your hand out, whatever it is. If you're doing those little things every day, miraculous things happen. Monotonous leads to the miraculous. So out there, when you're out there doing whatever you're doing, hey, like I said, if you're in sales, driving around, hopefully we can bring a little something to you every day. If you're out there just grinding away, hopefully we can bring something to you every day. But hey, keep that in mind. The monotonous leads to the miraculous. And again, we appreciate y'all listening, and we hope you've enjoyed this 100th episode.
Out, go pack, 12-5.